she said she could clearly see that I had a soul contract to channel YESHUA, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary. And my response was, oh, can I please have the obscure river god instead? And that's exactly what happened. So my former boyfriend then drove me back to that. And that LBL was so profound. I actually transcribed the recording, 65 pages of
Whoa.
information. So, because there just was so much was coming through, and it was so, so helpful for me. And I didn't know that that was becoming a book, because what was happening was for me to process these amazing readings and healings and all these things I was learning, I was writing them down because I think on paper. So it was just helping me process it. And fast forward a couple years, I've had a couple more past life regressions as well as that LBL, and they've been so meaningful for me. I know I'm meant to train for it. So I do become a past life regressionist, and I train first with a Dolores Cannon student. Then I train with Dr. Brian Weiss, and then I train with the Michael Newton first degree student. So I got, any and all of the best training that I could find, because I knew it all had, there were differences, and I knew it was just all adding to what I'd be able to help people with and offer to people. And I then become my former boyfriend's past life regressionist. Offer him a session because he had tremendous chronic pain. He had broken his neck, and he had been a professional athlete. So he had tremendous back and neck pain and other pain, and he'd been, doing everything reasonable to resolve it. He'd had a successful surgery. He went for acupuncture, he went for massage, daily exercise, but still, he said his pain on a pain scale of 0 to 10, most days it was around a 7 to 8.
Ooh.
That's really life limiting.
Yeah.
So it's exhausting, you can't do things, and it's really life limiting. And he lives life at 1,000%, straight on here for all the experiences. So it was really slowing him down. So I offered him a session and said, would you like me to do past life regression for you? And he said, sure. I'm not a great subject. So we'll just have to see how it goes. And I did the session. A few days before the session, my guides came in and said, get ready for the most difficult session of your life.
Oh,
Oh, goody.
yeah.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thanks for the warning. Yeah, totally.
Right. Because I had questioned, were we too close to one another? Was it appropriate, could professional boundaries to really be in service to them? And what the guide said specifically was, there's so much energy between the two of you, you're still unwinding. It's likely to blow out your device, and your recording device won't work. So use 2 recorders. I've never been told that before or since. That's exactly what happened. So the session was in person at his home, and I had my MP3 there, and we tested it. It worked perfectly, because back in that, that day, that's what you used, was a little MP3 recorder, and then I would transfer the file onto the client's computer. I also had my brand new iPhone, which I barely knew how to use. Again, this is, some years back, and I'm looking on, I'm like, does this thing have a recorder? So I went in, and I had found under settings, and I just started the recorder. I thought, well, they said 2 recorders. There we go. So after the session, which lasted about 4.5 hours, he thinks it lasted 2 hours. Hallmark of a great session and a lot of information coming through, because if when you're in that altered state, you don't know, time is very different on the other side. I knew there was about 2.5 hours of info he didn't know about. And so I pushed the MP3 to like just check the recording. Nothing. It's like blank. There's our little
Oh,
test one. So like my heart just like drops down into
yeah.
shoes. I'm like, no. Because there's no way I can recreate this form from my notes.
No.
It's such a visceral experience. So it's like, okay. Guide said 2 recordings. Okay. I said, let's just both take a deep breath. Let's just pray. Let's just release the outcome. We'll trust that it's on my iPhone for you here. So I push the play button. Yes, there it is, clear as day. 4.5 hours, because I'm like, kind of like zipping through. It's like, yep, it's all here. Yes, great. Let me just put this on your computer for you. For it. I can't transfer it. It's this huge file. It's like, okay, no worries. Don't panic. I'll go to the phone store tomorrow. They'll help me with it. So I go to Verizon the next day and I explained to him, I said, I'm a therapist. Please don't play this out loud in the store. But I have a session, I have a client session. I need you to help me get off my phone and get onto a disk, a flash drive, a computer, something to transfer it to the client. So they're kind of looking at me and they're like, well, how long is it? And I show it and play it to them. And they're like, oh no, iPhone, it can't record for 4.5 hours. I'm like, well, here it is.
Wow.
And they don't know what to do with it either. They try everything. They call in every person in the store, and every guy is in there working on it. And they're like, so sorry, I can't do it. It's like, oh dang, what do I do? Because I can't hand my phone over to him. I obviously need my phone, and I don't want to sit with him while he listens to it. And it's very personal, and I wanted him to have the information. So I think on it for a couple days, and my guide said, you need to type him a transcript. I was like,
Oh.
really? Really? That's a huge task.
That's a big ask.
That's a big ask. So I checked with him first. I was like, what would you think of me just typing it for you? I said, it's not going to be formatted. It's going to have typos in it. It's not going to have quote marks. It's going to be quick and dirty. Type it for you just to give you the gist of it. And he says, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I'd be thrilled if you'd be willing to do that. It's like, okay. So I sit down on a Saturday morning, on a weekend when my kids are at their dad's, and I start typing. I type for a couple of hours, Sharon, and then I was like, oh gosh, I got to take a stretch break. I got to get up and move, and then come back and look at it. When I came back and looked at it, to my utter amazement, it has a title. It has a book title. It has my name as the author. I can see I'm outlining the chapter headings. I have a note to myself to include a forgiveness resource guide at the end of the book. I'm like, what? His session is a book. It's my
Whoa.
first book. Remember the contract to write books together? So I finished the transcript over a couple of weeks' time, send it off to him, and said, what do you think? Are you comfortable with me sharing this publicly with your identity blinded? He said, oh, please, yes, absolutely. I think this book is going to help a lot of people. That became my first book. It just
Amazing.
snuck up on me. It
Yeah.
came in.
Don't know where it's coming from.
I
Yeah.
I couldn't land it. I just couldn't land it. So it got me out of the way. And so I've now helped him publish. He's helped me publish. And then what happened next was he coached me for the public speaking, and he got me over that huge hump because he had become a sportscaster and was
Mm.
comfortable as could be with public speaking. And he said, it's something very energetic. We're going to figure out why you are having this problem, and we're going to figure it out and get it healed. He found my first interview for me. So, and got me on this little startup podcast. And I was like, okay, that's a perfect way to start. I was still so nervous about it though. I didn't use my own name. We did it under a pseudonym, and we used
Mhm.
we used a book character name in a book that hadn't been published yet. also kind of my alter ego. And you know what? That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. Because it was still sharing the information in a really meaningful, authentic way. And I had minor children who were in shared custody that were under 18, and I did not think their dad was going to be pleased with me. So I didn't want to rock that boat for anyone, and I just chose to. It was the right way for
That
me.
makes total sense. Total
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. What an
So
amazing
that's
story.
that's what happened with just how that spiritual awakening came around, and having that contract to break my heart repeatedly. What that did was I had a lot of karma in that area for having been a heartbreaker myself. So you
Mm,
can imagine how challenging and heartbreaking my romantic relationships have been in this lifetime, because I
mm,
needed to have the shoe be on the other foot and to learn to be more kind, more thoughtful, more considerate, and to be really, really pristine with my energy in that area. So, and then the second half of that contract, to step into my power fully without abusing it. Most people assume, oh, you were like overdoing it. No, it's the opposite. I was shirking my power and not sharing my gifts or abilities because I was petrified of getting more karma for having abused my power in the past. So it's,
mm.
oh, well, I know how to not have that be a problem again. I'm just not going to do anything.
So that was an unconscious or a subconscious thing, not necessarily a conscious thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And he kept telling me, he's like, you've got to step to the plate. People need your help. You've got a very appropriate healing energy and gifts and so much to share, and we're going to get you over this thing with a microphone. Because specifically, I was always fine speaking with friends. I was fine in public speaking if I could see the people. The irony of this is I was in outside sales for 30 years. So you would never expect someone like that to have a problem with public speaking. Again, I was finding groups where I could see them. My specific fear about public speaking was radio and TV, anywhere where you cannot see the audience. Hello, podcasts.
Hmm.
So that type, because that's evidently where I had been harmed in the past. So that's what I had to release. So that's what my former boyfriend, my spiritual seeker, soulmate, helped me with and got me on a podcast. So
Wow. That's amazing. I want to go back a little bit. Thank you for sharing that, Wendy. Go back to,
absolutely,
pardon me?
absolutely.
Yeah. Soulmates. So a lot of people think I believe, and you probably have had this too, that when we come across what we feel is a soulmate, that we're meant to be together no matter what, right? Especially in a relationship.
Just
And
take the no matter what out of it.
I know, right? It's and yeah. So I've learned, and obviously your story is pointing toward that as well. It shows that is a testament to that, that we come together with different soulmates, and we have, perhaps, would you agree with that, many soulmates that help us
Absolutely.
get through and heal and get through life and heal whatever
So
we need to. Yeah.
instructive. I feel
Hmm.
soulmates are some of our greatest teachers. And their soulmates aren't just romantic partners, they can be
Right.
best friends, they can be mentors, they can be a wonderful boss or fabulous neighbor or that great coach for your kids that you just adore.
Or
It
an
just
animal, a companion,
animals.
animal companion. Hmm.
Absolutely. So there's many different types of soulmates. I think the romantic soulmates, I think that's the grad school stuff.
Right.
I think that's the more advanced curriculum, because when you think about it, it's where we're our most vulnerable. It's often the relationship that we just care about the most. Uh,
Hmm.
and there's just, as I said, for us, it was the highest highs and the lowest lows. And that was so unusual for me because I am not a drama person. My primary energy is peace. And it just was, I was really surprised to be in this kind of a crazy relationship. But I'm glad I was in it for the time I was in it. I'm glad he ended it. And I'm glad we went to the important second phase of it. And,
Right.
and just really we're helping one another.
Yeah. And for you to have that much that insight during the unfolding of your relationship is huge, because most people don't have that insight, aren't able to have that insight. And so they, with a volatile relationship with, it feels like a soulmate relationship, that can, throw people into depression and to all kinds of emotional
Turmoil.
stuff,
Yes,
turmoil. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think when we get in that emotional turmoil, it's always, this is going to sound odd, but it's always a good thing,
Yeah.
because I believe we're here to learn how to balance our emotions and to experience emotions. We don't have that experience when we're disincarnate and we're on the other side and everything is perfect love and there's telepathy and you have everything you need. It's just, it's different. So you've got to be down here in the trenches in
Mhm.
experiencing, dang, I feel angry, I feel exhausted, I feel really lonely, I feel really sad, I feel incredibly happy. You've just got that whole range of emotions, and to be able to learn from it and to be able to learn to balance them.
Right. Yeah, that's important. Definitely. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So y- you I wrote some notes here. Now I can't even hardly read them. But uh have you seen the series The Chosen?
I have not.
Oh, okay. There's a scene in there that reminded me of when he your soulmate knelt down in front of you and said, "I know you." There's a scene in there where that happened with,
Oh, is there?
with Yeshua, yeah, with Jesus, and where someone just fell to their knees and said, "I know you."
Right,
Uh, It
right.
made me think of that. I'm hooked on that series. I highly recommend it.
Wonderful. I'll
Speaking,
have to check it
yeah, yeah. Speaking of Jesus, Yeshua, let's talk about Mary Magdalene.
out. Of course.
Yes,
Would love to.
yeah, I would love to hear your journey with connecting and channeling, and bringing her in and channeling Mary Magdalene.
Yes, that was another one. It was such a journey. It was really challenging. Where it first came up was in two ways. I kept having all these experiences pointing me in the direction of Mary Magdalene. I mean, just again and again and again. It's like it was everywhere. And I just kept tripping over things about Mary Magdalene. And I was raised as a Christian, but I got the story of Mary Magdalene as a repentant whore. And I,
Which isn't even in the Bible, by the way, for those listening. Not even in the Bible. Yeah.
very frustrating,
Hmm.
just really part of just defaming women, part of stomping on the divine feminine. So very frustrating. But that's who I thought she was. I thought she was some sort of camp follower, and that's kind of the story I was raised with in very Catholic Quebec.
Yeah.
And so when these experiences kept coming through and I was having dreams and spiritually transformative experience, and I was like, no, I don't want anything to do with the Jesus and the Mary Magdalene timeline. I'm like, nope. That's way too intense for me. You can see Henley agrees. I think I need to open the door for her. Okay, girl, you need to go out to the room here. All right,
Yeah.
let's let you on. There you go. You're fine. So Sharon, I'm just denying it right and left because I do not want anything to do with that timeline because I'm petrified of it. I'm afraid I'm going to have to see the crucifixion again. And as those words even come out of my mouth, it's like, how did I know that at some level that I actually experienced it firsthand? So different things keep coming up, and it gets to the point I am just denying this life, denying this life. Nope, 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 too much. Nope, 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 nope. Multiple healers who I didn't even know. I'd like be meeting them for the first time and would come up to me and just gently like lay their hand on my arm and say, you're really in the thick of it with a very challenging past life. Can I help you with it? Do you know that you've been, and I'm like, la, 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 I don't want to hear you. Do you know that you've been Mary Magdalene? Multiple people. And again, I'm not asking these questions. I'm not going, I'm like, nope, nope, nope. But because I kept denying it and didn't want anything to do with it, I was having crippling pain. More and more and more pain is coming up because I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah.
And what I needed to do was to step to the plate with that. So it took about a year because it took a lot of courage to be willing to look at it. And what I finally did was I had a past life regression with a therapist that I trusted and had really successful sessions with previously. And guess what came up? Again, it wasn't on my question list,
Yeah.
but immediately that's what came up was that past life. So it took me a couple years to really integrate it. And I give great credit to one of my friends who, because I said to him, I said, I couldn't have been Mary Magdalene. It's just too much. And he looked at me and he just said, very matter of factly, well, why not you? Someone had to do it.
There's a lot of us that have been in that lifetime
And
that
we
see through those
exactly
eyes. Yeah,
because timelines repeat.
right.
So yes,
And
and
that's a very huge soul stream. It's a very huge soul group. And we've all chosen, so many women are coming through saying that they remember walking that life.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
happening
It's
now.
not like there's one.
Or
Oh
a
my
man, it
goodness.
doesn't matter. But yeah,
Right,
totally.
right, right, exactly. So when he said that to me, it's like I finally relaxed into it and started to heal. And I also found the Magdalene manuscript by Tom Kenyon and Judy
Mm,
Simon. And
mhm.
when I read that, I was like, oh, yes, 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 this makes sense to me. And I could just feel that I was healing and releasing from it. So that was major. And I started to physically get better because I had absolutely crippling back and neck pain. And I then had frozen hips to the point where I couldn't sit for more than 45 minutes or I'd be locked in place. I couldn't stand up. So it was really, really problematic. So all day long, I'm having to strategize. Where do I sit? Where do I stand? Where do I try and stretch? How do I get through the workday? How do I drive somewhere? And it was really, really an issue. And Sharon, it just was bringing forth so much fear because I was being shown either something needed to change and I needed to heal and release it, or I was going to be in a wheelchair. And it's like, nope, I cannot do that. I cannot earn a living for my two daughters and I from in a wheelchair. I was doing outside sales, driving. So it's like, nope, nope, no, I'm going to deal with this and look this in the eye. So I had that past life regression session. I think I went through an entire box of tissue, but she was very smart. She had the stoicism and the strength to let me cry it out,
Mhm.
long periods. And then she would say, okay, we're going to let that go now. And now we're going to move on, and we're going to go to another scene, and we're going to find something else out, and you're going to be okay. You're doing great. And we got through it. So that was like having the weight of the world lifted off me.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
of the things I found out was part of why I have scoliosis in this lifetime and have curvature of the spine and had the surgery and a Harrington rod. Harrington rod, it's this long metal rod. Guess what? It's a T.
Oh,
Hello. Put myself on the cross so that I could remember and release the pain and bring in the best parts of it again. Because that life was not about pain. It
no.
really was not. It was about so many other amazing things. But I had been so locked and loaded on those moments, those days at
Yeah.
the crucifixion scene, and having been so afraid to go back to it again. So I had to release all that, which I was able to do. Uh,
That's, yeah, he helped me through that too when he first started working with me after my NDE, and seeing through in my meditations, and that where that just came up, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
mhm,
I didn't know. I didn't know I needed to release it. I didn't know
right.
anything about that, but it made a lot of sense with a lot of things in my life too. And I'm
Yes.
noticing, and you may notice this in your work too, that a lot more people are coming to me that need to, that is coming up where Yeshua is very
Memories
present.
from that timeline.
Yes, yes, clearing it with, ooh, I've got goosebumps up and down, whether it be Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, any of
Yeah.
his followers, or anyone around him during that time. Even some of the Roman soldiers I've been working
Yes.
with. Yeah. Whew,
Absolutely. It's a very, very powerful time. I mean, here we are, we're still talking about it,
yes.
2000 plus years later, and it has nothing to do with religion. It's about the
No.
energy of it. It's about the love. It's about
Right.
knowing that God is love and how loved we are, and that the divine is love, and that that's what we're here for, is to remember that.
And his teachings, and and Mary Magdalene's teachings, she was the one that understood him the most, or
Yes.
understood those teachings the most. And it's I keep hearing him say, "Take me out the cross, okay? Take me out the cross," type of thing. But yeah, that's a lot. I feel do you feel that we're coming full circle
We are
with that?
absolutely coming full
Yeah.
circle. So what happened next, Sharon, was different people started recognizing me, as I said, and that just helped me move through it. So that was really, really helpful. And then I was working with a lovely spiritual teacher, and she said to me, "Do you know that you're meant to be a channel?" I'm like, "Oh, really?" Because that brought up a lot of fears and concerns. So it's like, okay, tell me more about that. What are you hearing? Because I really respected her, and she and I worked really well together. We're still great friends today. And she said she could clearly see that I had a soul contract to channel Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary. And my response was, "Oh, can I please have the obscure river god instead?" Because the responsibility of that, yes, the privilege, the beauty, but it felt too big for
Hmm.
me. It felt way too big because I didn't want to get it wrong, because I knew how public that was going to be. And I really wanted to be able to be accurate and to help people. And I didn't feel like there was a way to really practice small or practice out of town, with that one. So it concerned me. So what I did was I went and got 2 years of formal training to learn to be a channel.
Mm.
And that training was nothing like I expected. It mostly was about really learning how to balance my ego, because I didn't have enough self-confidence to move forward with it. So that was where the growth and the journey needed to come in, to be willing to step to the plate. And if you think about Yeshua and the amazing things that he did, they were accomplished because he knew who he was, he owned who he was, and he didn't waver from it. He didn't apologize for it. He
Mhm.
just was who he was. And you have to be able to hold that type of energy, I think, to be able
Mhm.
to channel ascended masters, angels, archangels, God, whomever these higher beings of light are. I think you've just got to be able to hold that energy.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it was quite a journey. And I then, just kind of progressed through that bit by bit by bit, and was so fortunate that I did get the backing from the divine, as well as various spiritual teachers and healers helped me. So bit by bit,
Nice.
those lovely clients came. I mostly was doing it behind the scenes because it just would come up in client sessions. I wasn't advertising it per se, that
Mhm.
is a Magdalene channel, or that I
Mhm.
had done Mary Magdalene, because it took one of the many Mary Magdalenes, because it just took a while to own that, and you have to get comfortable with who you are,
Right.
and that's the lifetime journey that we're all here on. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's how it evolved.
I love that. I love that. And I've learned with channeling for 20 years or so now that, and I started out with channeling Yeshua as well. And, that
Try and swap baseball cards like
I
me.
know, right? Yeah, sure. He taught me how to
He's
channel.
laughing. He thinks we're hysterical.
Course, of course, he's the funniest person on off the
Exactly.
planet. Okay,
Exactly. That's what
always
he's
making me
about,
laugh.
teacher.
Hmm.
Because he's
Hmm.
just so relatable. Because his energy is just gorgeous. It's
Oh,
just,
yeah,
so many people can relate to it because it's so gentle and peaceful, yet strong, just no bones about it. It's just very, very unique. And I
and
think,
very patient,
yes,
very, very patient.
yes, yes, yes,
And yeah, very, very patient. And
yes.
that was one of the things that I adored about him in the very beginning, how patient he was with me. Yeah,
Because you think of him, and I think that's something that the Bible got very right, was, him calling the children to him, and all the healing that he did for animals. I think those things are
yeah,
very, very accurate. I remember those
right.
things too.
One thing about The Chosen that it's based mostly a lot on the Bible, although it's created by young people that, are up and coming kind of thing, and from
Doing more
Angel,
interpreting.
yeah, Angel Studios, and
Okay.
who did Sound of Freedom and those in The Afterlife, I think, which was just came out in the
Yes,
theaters.
I
Yeah.
saw I saw
Okay.
The Afterlife at the theater.
Yes, yes. Created same company. And so it's that series, but they do depict Mary Magdalene, unfortunately, as someone who had a lot of pain and went through um, trauma in her life, which I don't doubt. Okay, and as a young woman, okay, I don't,
Mhm,
doubt that. My memory of her is different, a little bit different, more as a young adult.
mhm,
Okay, um, but and so, but the first season one, episode one, when he calls her, and it shows where they're brought together when she's very young, and they say in the Bible that he healed her of seven demons, kind of thing, which we know is probably metaphoric for her shadows or whatever it is that we work on, past life trauma or something like that too. But it's very profound, and every time I see it, I bawl like a baby when he shows up with her and helps her and brings her into his energy. And it's very profound. So that part I didn't care for, but it's okay because She's the one in the series that,
there's always going to be various interpretation, and
yeah,
just to get people really thinking and feeling into this in
right,
their hearts. It's a very useful, that's a useful thing.
right.
I think that there was a lot of martyrdom and a lot of victimhood that got kind of hung on her. And I think that's being shifted as we balance up the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies again. So
Hmm.
I, unfortunately, I thought I was being told to experience I was being told to go ahead and use the resurrection flame, one of the 7 sacred flames, which is just a way of just reinventing yourself and healing yourself. But I misheard resurrection flame. And instead of running the resurrection flame, I was running the crucifixion pain.
Oh,
Hear how those kind of rhyme?
yeah.
Thankfully, that was the turning point for me. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Once I became aware of what the 7 sacred flames were in that beautiful book by Aurelia Louise Jones, I was like, I got it. I got it. I know what's happening here. And then I was able to shift it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was being told to run the resurrection flame. And anyone can do that. I mean, it gives the techniques in the book, and it's so powerful. I mean, the violet flame is another one of the 7
Hmm.
flames. And
Hmm.
when I literally got myself off the cross, and just was not experiencing that debilitating pain anymore, it just changed everything. But that again is why I attract a lot of clients like that, because I know what it's like to live in debilitating pain and to be able to shift it and to be able to move out of it and to raise your vibration and frequency from that. Because when you're in physical pain, like if you're very depressed, it just brings our vibration down.
Sure.
It's so hard to lift up from that, but I love being able to help people do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing work. And so many people are waking up to well, the second coming of the Christ, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Yeshua in, embodiment of him, but just the Christ within us,
Mhm.
the Christed part of us, which is not any religion, like you said.
Consciousness and energy.
Yes, it's a consciousness, it's an energy, it's realizing and remember who we are and how powerful we really are.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't have to live, we don't have to suffer anymore. First of all, we don't have to suffer like we've been doing, enslaved to a
Right.
system. I always say the system's rigged.
Mhm.
The system is rigged. So it's time to wake up and know that
Right.
we can beat the system.
Well, that's why the system's being dismantled. I mean, that's
Yeah,
why we see just so many things being questioned, and just that's why it looks like everything's such a hot mess. Over to be able to let that not beneficial energy line rise up and get some light on it all.
right, right. Yeah, totally.
What was your journey to the channeling, Sharon? How did you get there? Did you channel? You said it's been 20 plus years. How did you get there?
Well, I started working with YESHUA after my NDE in meditation.
Okay.
Every day I made a commitment with him that I'd be there at 9 o'clock in the evening and sit with meditation in meditation with him. And that's when my childhood started being revealed to me because I didn't remember my childhood. And then past lives started coming up. And it started with Mary Magdalene with him. It started with that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. What is this? You know,
You like
what?
me, it's like, oh, put the brakes on.
I know. What is this? And he goes, just go with it. Just go with it. I could hear him in my head. Just go with it. Go
Yeah.
with it. So I did. And so I started remembering their life together, from my perspective, and seeing through her eyes. And then he guided me meditate and journal and remember my dreams, all the tools that he gave me to dive in. And
Oh,
as I was journaling,
beautiful.
yeah, and as I was journaling, I started doing automatic writing.
Mhm.
And then automatic writing turned into voice channeling. And then I started practicing with partners and read some books on it that teach you how to channel. And
Right.
I was working with lots of masters as well as YESHUA
Mhm.
that helped me in the Marys. And
To help you to balance your energy and your ego,
yes,
be a really
which,
clear
yeah,
channel. Mhm.
because it wasn't easy, believe me.
Right.
Yeah, those he called it a quickening. So I had lots of layers and lots of layers to go through, and lots of trauma from this life and others. And so he helped me with that. And then I was able to balance that. And channeling four people in that, I started with smaller groups and things like that, and channeling Yeshua. And then I moved to channeling Mary Magdalene as she stepped into my field and became a part of me, and he was a part of me. So yeah, that's how it started for me. And then
Oh,
I help people
it's
channel.
wonderful.
Mhm.
That's interesting because mine came out of some automatic writing too.
Mm,
Uh,
mhm.
and I think that's often, kind of a great
Yeah,
way. And you may not realize it at the time what it's leading
right,
to.
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. They're so patient. They're so patient.
Yes.
But we're in that time to where I would say we're the second coming. We are the second coming.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I see it.
Absolutely. And just
Mhm.
here to remember, as I said, that God is love, and to just be able to move out of the fear, because realizing that love is the antidote to fear. uh,
Right.
it just that just changes everything. And also your point is so well taken about us really moving into our power. I think it's Marianne Williamson that has that powerful quote around the thing that we most fear is our full beautiful power.
Yeah. Yeah. The program.
Yeah,
Thank you, my dear. This has been amazing as usual. You'll have to come back. I hope you don't mind coming
I
back if
would
you.
love to. Well,
Okay.
thank you. Such a
Yeah.
pleasure to speak with you, Sharon. I'm so glad to be here with you, and thank you for everything that you do, and thank you to your lovely audience.
Of course, of course. Go ahead and share if you would. I'll have the details or have your contact info in the details, but please share how people can get a hold of you and get your book.
Yes, best way to reach me is via my website, which is my full name, WendyRoseWilliams.com, and contact me there. That is the best way to reach me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, darling. And thank you everyone for watching. And do the subscribe, like, please, and comment if you enjoyed our conversation. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks, Wendy.
Bye. Enjoy the holidays, everyone. Bye bye.